Yo, 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 what's good? What's good, beautiful people? Welcome to In God We Trust Academy podcast. Today, we give thanks for each and every last one of your time right now. Where y'all tuning in from right now, let us know where y'all locking in with us tonight. We've been moving around for the past couple of days. Big time. What's up, Phaedra Jones? How you doing? What's going on, Zach? Give everybody time enough to get up in here. Speak to you guys about a few things tonight. Yes, we will do that for sure. Yes, good people. Hope everybody's having a great and beautiful night for sure, man. As always, we give thanks for you guys' time, as you could be doing anything, but you're choosing to tune in and lock in with us right now, no matter what platform you are on with us, man. Always great to hear from you guys. Lafayette, Louisiana. What's up? What's up? What's going on? What's going on, Crystal? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Man, all is grand. Everybody's great. Everybody's great. Everybody's doing well. Children well. Families well. And, such a great and beautiful time. And always just give thanks to the Most High for everything that has transpired up into this very moment right now. And it's always a, just a beautiful thing to be able to see and be a part of this beautiful thing called life, and that you are chosen. Each and every last one of you under the sound of my voice right now, you are chosen to do the things that you are here to do and for that particular purpose. For real. All right. Well, we're going to speak to you guys about a few things, man. First, I want to say, man, Houston was great. Yo, I appreciate, everybody that came out and, showed the love, and, everything was just great. And I enjoyed being with my family as well. My mother, my brother-in-law, my sister, my cousins, just everybody that was, a part of that, man. It was great. So it was great, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was a drive, man. So when we got here, we heard safe. I will say this, just to travel, etc. was, it was exciting and something to place in memories and things like that. But overall, like I said, the classes was great. I hope everybody enjoyed the class and received what you were supposed to receive out of it, and being able to apply those things as well. Um, We got a few things that's going to be coming up soon, though. But tonight, though, we're going to talk to you guys about the spirit of law. Um, in order for you to even grasp the whole concept of life and who you are when it comes to life in every aspect, we have to go back and look at self. And we have to peel back self to the very finest of who and what self is. And man's nature, first and foremost, man's study is always going to be the study of itself. Man must study himself. When I say man, I mean male and female. So that means that you must fully study yourself, and that way we know thyself. And that's very important because in religious texts, it speaks that man was made in the image of its creator. Okay, no matter what religious text we want to see that through, but the point is, it was literally defined and created by its creator, and its creator, it was made in its full likeness and image, right? So, with that being said, this creator is a creator of authority. This creator was a creator of law, of order, things of those nature, as well as grace, as well as mercy, and all of those other good things that, and traits as well. But this creator also had a form of jealousy, had other emotions as well. And I think that a lot of people miss that part because it's actually in there. This creator hated things as well. So and looking for it from that particular point, it's everything in what the makeup and who and what you are. So through what you are, by you having authority, you do have your own free conscious will and mind to do things and go about doing things and who you want to be, how you want to become, things of that nature, right? That's all in divineness into who and what you are. All right. But then you also have the aspect of you are the divine consciousness which brought in your this physical being into existence. Now, when we say that divine consciousness, we're speaking of that divinity that is that connection to God. God is the only source that is given life, and the only source that I know that gives life to anything is just literally we call it the smallest form that we could break it down to is call it energy. So, with that being said, that divineness in within itself, we are definitely a part of that, an essence of that, a connection to that, uh, to the very strict part of it, just of life. So now we are also bound to the law of cause and effect, and by being bound to the law of cause and effect, now we are set here in what we could consider order, right? So there's an order in things that way things should be done, things have to be done, things of that nature. And it's up to you to literally follow these orders because cause and effect, the law has already been set. And that's the reason why when I say when it comes to God, bro, it's nothing else that God could throw out here for you. Nothing else. Because everything is already done. Everything was already written. Everything was already accomplished. Everything was already done. So now it's just like you got a full blueprint of if you go this way, this is going to happen to you. If you go this way, this is going to happen to you. And this has been fully explained to each and every generation over and over and over and over and over again. But it seems like the people continue to forget because the people have to know who they are as themselves. And since we are that of our creator, the people have developed a sense of consciousness and a body of wanting to be governed. So when you hear of Samuel, when you hear of Saul, when you hear of First Samuel the 8th chapter, I want you to picture yourself, and yourself being a full deity of consciousness that literally can tell yourself when to do, when not to do, how to move, when not to move, etc. And then all of a sudden, you decide that you want to come together in a community and decide that you want to have a king over you. Okay? So, this is the same thing when the people went to Samuel and said they wanted a king. What they were saying is they wanted to form government. And from that point on, they were going to decide law and authority. And God said, hey, if you guys start doing government and nations and doing things of that nature, then this is what's going to happen. Because now you're going to become a slave to this government. Each and every last one of you. And he was basically saying the way that man is set up, man has a lower side of himself, which is the flesh. Because the flesh is the only thing that could challenge the spirit or soul, if you want to say. And that is the only thing that can challenge, because the flesh has its own desires and ways than the actual spirit does. And that is the fight of who and what you are on a daily basis. So what I'm saying is, in that time, God had already knew like the cause and effect. Because of the lower side of man, there will be kings who live within their own form of carnal flesh. And these kings will be wicked rulers. You already knew that. He said you were going to become slave to these things. He said exactly what was going to happen to your children, how you were going to pay taxes, how it was going to take all of these different things from you, all because man decides that he wants to establish government and rulership. That's exactly what happened. So here we are today. We're still in that. And that's cool, but here's the thing. Now God said, okay, so since this is going to happen, man has already made up his mind that it's going to govern. So God said, okay, I'll separate everyone into each in its own nations, culture, law, etc. Right? So all these different laws, all these different nations, all of these different dynasties and things start popping up, right? Because of the right to rule. Man decides, right? So now you got to see yourself in the aspect. Now remember, all of this comes from being into the likeness and the image of our Creator. And I'm trying to help you understand who you are right now and what you're into. But all of this is being into the likeness and the Creator. So in Romans 13, it said every soul is going to be governed. So now here comes what we call self-preservation. Self-preservation. Everyone must self-preserve. It's already a thing by nature. By your nature, you are going to self-preserve. So your self-preservation, and how do you know that? Well, just look at a child. A child is going to say one thing: I can do it. No, let me do it. They don't want your help. They want to do it on their own, right? They want to sit up by themselves. They want to do it. It's what they want to do. That right there is a sign of self-preservation. So now, if you must self-preserve individually, you must self-preserve as a family, you must self-preserve as a community, you must self-preserve as a clan, as a band, as a tribe, as a state, and as a nation, and so on. Self-preservation has to exist on every single level now. Has to. And those that chooses not to govern themselves shall and will be governed. And it has been explained to you so many times throughout religious texts, scriptures, whatever you want to call it. Because again and again, the people have had their own. And then you decide that you want to go and be and do and be like someone else, be accepted by others, and all this other type of stuff. And then you start acting in their ways, and then you automatically start losing your ways, and then you lose your whole identity. And now here you are being subjective to a whole form of system that is not for you. But it said this would happen to you, right? Man, the land is vast. There's so much land that even still to this day, they still can't claim all the land. They don't know. They do not know. Like and it's so they got y'all into this whole full illusion as if what they're doing is just it. Like it's just them. There will be no other forms of dynasties or no other countries or anything like that that's ever going to exist. Theirs is going to exist forever. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're already going to be judged. So with that being said, we know people establish government. If government and people gave a government basically a moral person, it made it a moral person. So government became a moral person because people gave it what you considered a moral law. And the moral law was basically that of what is already stated as law, as the law of nature. So it was passed on to this particular entity to fully protect their inalienable rights. That was it. Right? That's it. That's what it's for. Nothing else. Because, I mean, why would you give it up? It's that simple. But see, you guys got this idea of sovereignty. And sovereignty is way more than what you think it is. Um, a lot of y'all look into the eyes of sovereignty as military and stuff like that. That's not really sovereignty. Sovereignty is when I'm just gonna start at the smallest part of sovereignty. Sovereignty is when you are with your family. Your family have, let's say your family have its own family law, constitutional law. This family has its own culture, religion, etc. that it does, right? And this family fully follows that law. And any disputes that ever happen with this family, they never take it outside of it. They have their own court to settle all of their matters, no matter what happened. That's sovereignty. I've read it enough to know it. That is sovereignty. So now all you got to do is take that and expand that as far as you can from the next two family households. Then now you got three families, four families, a community, from a community to breaking out to a full township and to whatever until it becomes a full nation, et cetera, a state. Like that's just what it is. And it's just for the people to understand that once you create law, you become obedient to that law. That's sovereignty. Sovereignty is the same thing that those who become into these fraternal orders and things like that, they immediately establish the law for their fraternity, and those men fully follow that honor and code no matter what. That's a form of sovereignty. Y'all don't make it harder than what it is. Like it is really, and then all this goes back and reflect towards you and who and what you are. You being that divine consciousness, you being that divinity to say yes or to say no. You know what I'm saying? That is the right to contract within itself, what we call common law. So if that's the case, that's still within you, still to this day. Bro, it's nothing for us to walk away from anything. I don't care what it is. If it's harming us, then hey, we got the right to stop it from harming us, to change it immediately to the fullest extent of whatever that may take for our families to continue to go on so they don't be harmed in it. We can't be in fear for our life of what we are into right now. So now you got this situation over here within the United States where games are being played against you. And a lot of stuff that you think is real is not, because they want to trap the people. I mean, they really got everybody in the headlock. It's not just so much as you as a white man, a black man, a Mexican, a Hispanic, or all these other social terminologies that they have for you. The point is they was like, wealth is wealth. They wanted to be wealthy. So even if that meant enslaving everybody possibly that they could, no matter the color, race, nationality, or whatever, they didn't care. So it's different. But they create wars out of these things for you guys to fight amongst them, because it helps distract you from what we really supposed to be worried about. Like, seriously. Before we really can even play a basketball game, We shouldn't go anywhere until we actually fully focus on the whole entire justice system. So we focus on all of these people that are sitting in these particular seats and stuff like that. And I'm saying in every aspect. And that goes back to understanding that people do have the right to create micronations and their own form of governments, et cetera, if they deem so fit to do so. The Declaration of Independence is supported, and so does every state constitution support it. That all power is inherited in the people. And the people have the right to change their form of government anytime that they may seem fit. Then nobody can stop that but you. And see, that's why I think we start losing a lot of power because y'all think y'all don't have no power. Yes, we have all the power, but it's going to take you to come back into the fold to know who and what you are. Exactly who and what you are. You established government a long time ago. So that means we're in control of it at the same time because God has shown you that okay, if man established government, then man could also demolish the same exact government that he started. Because if it's not fit for him, it's his duty to change it. It's his duty to change it. That's a fact. So what that means for us as a people means you got to get in line. You got to become aware of your situation. Be aware of your rights. We cannot depend on them to know to assert a right for you. First and foremost, nowhere in any constitution, nowhere in any form of not even natural law says that. Natural law gave you a right to self-defense first and foremost, which is also in a form of right to justice. But it takes you to defend yourself. So that's my point. You can't expect nobody else to assert your right, or as you said, to exert your will. You can't expect nobody to do that. You have to do that yourself. So what that means is everybody got to know their rights. Every household has to know their rights, no matter what happens. And if you're not willing to carry the law, then you can't expect the results of justice. You cannot. It does not work that way. Nothing. And we all know in order for you to get what it is that you want in this physical realm of life, man, you got to give it to yourself. You got to give it to yourself. If you think that self-preservation is not a real thing, man, then look, stop going to work and see if somebody else gonna go to work for you, pay your bills, and come, take care of your family. See if they gonna do it. If they do, they gonna do it in the form of a slavery way where they gonna run everything, and you paying them, giving all your money to them, that type of thing. But I'm just telling you, it's not gonna happen like that. So face the reality, live into the reality of everything. And you got to put something greater than yourself, right, as the purpose and the cause. We can't just keep sitting here rumbling in the same thing. As I was saying to someone the other day, that, man, racism only exists to people who don't have their own. That's a fact. and it's hard, and it's like, and I can tell you it's like that for me because I grew up, and I'm gonna just give you an example. I grew up where I didn't have to have friends. Like, I didn't have to go look for friends. Man, I had a bunch of first cousins. My grandma had 22 kids. So you got to think about all of them had kids, et cetera. We kids, and so on. So I got a bunch of first cousins, a lot of cousins at that. So I ain't have to go look for nobody. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have to do that. We had to look outside for somebody to accept us. We accepted us. We rock with us. We did everything with our people. So it wasn't nothing for us to go have to look for somebody to hang or do anything with. We didn't care. So it's the same thing when you are doing for your people and your people doing for themselves. Then there's no way that you can feel like somebody being racist towards you when you can just do for you. You so busy and this is and I'm not saying like it don't exist in that way. Don't get it twisted. But I'm just telling you, like, it's not something that we would even care about. That's my point. We wouldn't even care. Who cares? Oh man, it's the same way you feel about, man. They don't mess with me. Who cares? We over here doing our own thing. You feel like that about people like that in the streets. Why you don't feel like that as a whole? That's my point. Then it wouldn't even matter. But see, it's a game being played against people that y'all don't get to understand because chaos is what they focus on. They create it's a chaotic cause, chaotic order. So they operate in chaos, and you got to be able to see it. That's why we have to learn to be calm, to be still, but to remain in the spirit of law, because the spirit is already written in law. And spirit before physical anyway. So we have to live within the spirit to make sure that we know that we are always abiding within the boundaries of the law. And that law is, like I said, it goes all the way back to the divinity, the law of nature, the law of God. It's no difference. So we have to be able to stick in that realm. If you can't stick in that realm, then that's where the trouble comes. But it's time for people to straighten up and really realize what we have to do or what we have to take care of. And I'm saying that. That goes for everybody. And I'm gonna say it in a manner just like this. As for black people, you got to realize you're the only one that don't have a government. You're not standing in the correct stance to even recognize or own it or whatever. Okay? As for white people, so-called white people and so-called black people, whatever, y'all all in the same shit show together. They got y'all down as operating as citizens of the United States, the federal government, instead of operating as state nationals who were born on republic on the soil, who would literally have a right to soil and be considered a national, permanent allegiance. So that's a difference too. Right? So my point is everybody is under a form of subjection right now. It's time to clean the act up. It's time to clean the act up. You got to. If you don't, you fail. You want to change that? The only way to change that is literally to start reading, understanding, and know that if you can't go and protect the law right now for yourself, for your family, then that's a problem. We behind. Right? See, the man always has a right to contract. If man take his right to contract, and he do what he must and fulfill obligations with his people, then it's done. But everybody's worried about a me. What I got, and this and that. But it takes a community to thrive. It's easier to thrive with a community. I promise you. Way easier. So I just want y'all to know that when it comes to being who and what we are, when it comes to the spirit of law, we have to fully operate in that. You didn't come here to be enslaved by anybody or anything, right? So you are literally, and here's the thing: God has given all orders. That's the reason why you got different languages, you got different people, you got different culture, you got different everything. It was already set in order to be that way. But the thing is, everyone was supposed to be under a law. And under that particular law, you're supposed to be operating in which in the land that God gave to each and every nation of people in order. But see, that's the reason why Christ, Jesus, Yahshua, came into our love. And the reason why with love was taught, because he understood there was differences between the nations. He understood that there was a different culture, a different law. There was a different way they do things, etc. So through all, teach love. He taught love, saying, God is the one that judges nations. God is the one that established nations. God is the one that destroyed nations. So when you look at it from that point, It was literally for our nations to be depleted because our nations had sinned. See, everybody thought that it was like an individual thing. Nah, nations sinned based upon all the things that they were doing. That's why I talk about the city of Gomorrah and all of that type of stuff like that, because these were where certain nations and stuff like that were doing, and this was their activity and all the stuff that they were operating in. This is how they were judging people without righteous justice and things of that nature. And all these different nations had their chance to sit and being able to judge over some, and being able to rule. They all had these dynasties. Go back and look over the history of man and look at all these different dynasties of all these different nations of people who got to rule. And they got to rule a lot. But they were very cruel. Every last one of these nations had a chance, and they all did what? They all enslaved people. It's not one group of people that can't say that you became. You can look back over history and you will see your people was once a slave and they enslaved people. Prove me wrong. I'll wait. Yeah, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. We can look over every dynasty. Eventually, that were great, righteous justice in certain places during at one point of time. Then cruelty came. When they start operating a cruel nature, then they were defeated. Literally. If God showed favor in the nation, God grew that nation to the fullest extent. Until they get somebody in there that ain't gonna follow the law, that kept them there, that kept this dynasty up and going the whole entire time. And next thing you know, you got somebody crooked doing something, and here he comes, falling down. Falling down. That's why it's bigger to me than what people read out of these religious texts, whether it's the Quran, whether it's the Bible, whether it's other things out there, Sanskrits and stuff like that I've read a lot of, and again, it just goes back to the history and nature of man and the covenant that man has always had with God. But are y'all really ready to accept that? Because at the end of the day, we out here doing everything else except for what we supposed to be doing. Like healing the people it's the minds. Once we can get everybody on one accord on what's supposed to be done, and trust me, it's people out there that's fighting you in every single way for that not to happen. It's for you to be on one accord. And it don't mean you gotta like each other. It just means that you understand that there's a purpose greater that we have to put above any and all things. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people who still have competition, but they just feel like, hey, I ain't gonna let you do them like that. Or like, hey, you can't hit my cousin. Like, that's my cousin. You know what I'm saying? Me and my cousin might get into it, but together, we ain't playing that with you. That like us is above what you do, whatever you talking about. So that's how we have to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like once you place it above everything, then it's something that has to happen. Like you can't take that away. We at a point now, right now, and it's just me. I know I see it. We at a point now, like it's not a choice. You know what I'm saying? You have to, or God will literally put you in a situation where, like, man, it'll get ugly. It'll get real bad. You don't want to be forced to have to do it. And we pretty much there. We there. We pretty much at the point where we could be forced to a position to where you have to. And it's going to be because of so much death around going on. There's a lot of stuff to where you're going to feel unprotected, et cetera. And you're going to be like, hey, we have no choice but to stand and come together and make sure that we survive. Then all the other stuff that you're talking about, you don't want it to get that far. So all you gotta do is take heed to the word I'm saying now, and know it's already time. It's time now. It's past time. But now is the moment that we have. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the past. Because if we take care of the present, man, we took care of both past and the future. So that's all we got to do. Stop looking at your brother as if you hate them. There's no difference. And then we have to understand like this, and this is why it takes the nations of people to heal. Now we all good. Everybody act accordingly while we on here on this land. There's a law set out here on this land, and that's what it is. That's what it's gonna be amongst all people, both tribal nations and people in the United States, etc. Right? There's a law that's already been set. So now, only thing we need to know, we need to just make sure we keep their boundaries on that, and that's it. Now, if anybody come to this on this side over here to this country on this land, and they come up stirring something from another country, from some other land somewhere else, then yeah, we all got problems with them. Quick, that's the greater cause, because we know if they harm your people, they harming mine too. They gonna do the same thing to us because they here for some other reason. They not looking at any other thing. You're American, yeah, okay, well, boom. Think about it like that. Seriously. And I don't think y'all, and that's another thing. Stop acting like we can't get hit over here. Like, but I already know it ain't gonna be nobody outside. What happened here is what it always been happening. It's inside jobs, always, because it's been hijacked. Real talk. Those who rule in Israel rule here in the United States. I hope y'all heard what I said. And that's a fact. They do. But the only way that changes is if we change. We come back into narrative and take back control of who and what we are. Right? There's no need to fear anything. God is the only one who decides life and what we consider to call death. There's only one creator of that. So there's nothing here to fear. But we must stand on principle. We must stand on moral. We must stand on the truth. And we have to be able to move. And if we don't move, then again, we're leaving our children to suffer. So we're leaving our children to be trampled upon if we don't start showing them the way right now. All this other stuff they doing, entertaining us with everything else, y'all, is really, that shit means nothing. I love college football, but honestly, it's a waste of our time right now, based upon what we really facing, what we facing up against, and we just letting corporations. Like, you got to think about it. We live off corporate. That's what we live off of. We no longer live off land. We live off a corporation to give us these things and making sure they have it. How can we play? And you know what? You know what the worst thing to do is to place your life in another man's hand. So how can we place our life into a corporation to make sure that it fills up the stores to literally have food for us at any given time? If they wanted us to not have food, that's simple. I mean, hell, if the truckers go on strike, it's over with. And we ain't getting no food. It'll last for a day or two or three, because the way y'all rush to them stores. But I'm saying that's too much control. Y'all, we letting them have too much freaking control of life. And it's so crazy that we just sitting here willing to take it. And it's like, we know it's not good. We know it's not. We over here in the days of just waking up thinking that, man, it's crazy, yo. Hey, man, I just want y'all to know the American dream is freedom, liberty. It is not a lifestyle of only on a boat, in a yacht, and all of those extra stuff. That's not it. And they got y'all away from the purpose of government. Nobody cares about government until it's time for the shit show. when they start electing the president. Other than that, man, y'all not caring. Unless something happened and then it's like we need to do social justice reform. Nah, you need to learn the law so we can hold these people accountable for everything that they doing. That's it. Right? That's it. We already been told all the stories. We already know all the stuff they done. We know all the things that has happened. I mean, everything that they ran from Great Britain from, they turned around and did the same thing here. The exact same thing. Go read the Declaration of Independence and tell me, does it not seem like they did the exact same thing here? They did. And that's the crazy part. Like, for real. And it's so crazy. It made me just want to look it up for y'all because I know how bad it is. And y'all tell me, is this the exact same thing? Oh man, listen to what they said. It says, let's just pull it over here. Let me pull it over here in the window for y'all to see. All right. Look at what this says. Look at what this say, man. The history of the present king of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries. Boy, that's just how many injuries have the United States repeated against the so-called African American people? Not that just people alone too, but definitely. And upsursions, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to candid world. It said he has refused his assent to laws. All right, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. That happened here in the United States? Absolutely. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be attained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend them. Well, has that happened? Absolutely. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in their legislature. Wow. Does that not sound like they did the same thing here? Yes. A right estimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. All right. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with many firmness his invasions on the rights of the people, right? And they doing all this through statutory codes, right? That's what they did. Through statutory codes, it's how they did this. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all dangers of invasions from without and convulsions within. Same exact thing, right? He prevent the populations of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriation of lands. They do that. Has obstructed administration of justice, absolutely, by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. Well, that's the reason why they have these little bench trials, and then they'll try to act like these bench trials don't take away your right to a jury trial, right? And it is any type of trial, any type of court venue that we deal with anyway has everything to do with a right. And that first right is due process of law. The first right is when it comes to court or any situation dealing with the state is the right to due process of law. That law can't be broken. That right can't be taken away. So if you start putting us in places to where that right start being affected, then we have a situation here, right? Actually, he has made judges depend on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. So, yep, definitely has happened. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent here the swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substances. Absolutely. That's why you got all these different agencies, and they got what you call administrative courts through these agencies where they can come and take all your stuff. Same situation. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without consent of our legislatures. That has definitely happened. He has affected, and actually now they're doing that through police officers. He has affected to render the military independent and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution. What? Has that happened? Yeah. Okay. So you're subjected to a jurisdiction foreign to your Constitution and acknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts pretended legislation, which is the same thing of allowing these legislative codes to take over these constitutions. That's what they do. Same thing happened. For courting lives, bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial, for punishment for any murders which they commit on the inhabitants of these states, for same thing they do with the damn police officers, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, definitely happening, depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, definitely see, I'm just telling y'all, man. This is the exact same thing that they ran from Great Britain from has turned around and still happened here. And it was literally because they were hijacked. Literally. Because the same people that was running that country came over here and run this country. And they set what they call the New World Order. See, y'all thought, here's the thing. Everybody's looking for the New World Order to be a part of the New World Order as if the New World Order was going to be physically out there. No, the New World Order is a hidden agenda. So it's to make sure that all government people who are in high principalities, etc., are in the order. And if they're in the order, then they run the New World Order based upon all of them agreeing on certain laws, certain things that they're going to do, certain tactics and stuff like that. Like, you just got to know what they're talking about doing. And it's really just to control the people. So the New World Order is not something that's going to be shown to you guys like what you think. It's to make sure, again, that all people who sit in places of government and rulership and high principalities are all part of their fraternal order of what they do. That's how it works. But we also know how it ends. So now we also got, now they deprive you in many cases for the benefits of trial by jury. Therefore, transporting us beyond seas to be tried to for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in neighboring provinces, establishing therein an arbitrary government. Yep. See what I'm saying? And enlarging its boundaries so as to render it, as once example, its fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule in these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamental the forms of our governments. They did all of this. It's being done right now. NWO is no longer hidden. No, it's not hidden. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like what people think it is, though. Like, it's just amongst them, the order to create. But we know what that is. That's why I say, that's why we know how it's going to end. It's already been said. But anyway, everything, I could go on and keep reading this from the Declaration of Independence. I just want you to know that everything that they said, right? So if they said all of that, and that's the reason why people are running, then this should also be it too, right? So when we read the constitutions of the states, it says that in the state of Alabama, and it's going to say this in every state, though, that all political power is inherent in the people. and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their benefit, and that therefore they have at all times an inalienable and indefeasible right to change their form of government in a manner as they may deem expedient. So you got the right to change it. You have that right. Man. And that all goes back to what the Declaration of Independence was saying. But the only thing difference is purpose. Like, no matter what you want to call it or say, those people had a purpose to do something that they were willing to give their life for it, become a martyr for the future posterity. And one thing I know about man is that once man has that will to do something and they agree on things, and when they become one in numbers, uh, it's nothing that's going to stop them but God. That's real. And I mean, that could be in any type of way because, as I've said before, uh, Hitler was stopped by nature. So was Genghis Khan, stopped by nature. All these other great empires that people thought would never, yeah, God stopped them. For real, for real. So that's why I say, like, it's just a matter of time. But it still means the people also got to know, though. Get yourself in order. Know what's going on. What is it that you want as people? Um, that's a fact. You know, so you got to know who you are as a people and being able to operate and move. But again, everybody got to return home. Everybody got to return to their house. And what I mean by that is everybody got to return to their own fold. Those who got to return into government need to return it back into their governmental seats. Because remember, you supposed to have no other God, no only God above you, right? And no other God before you, right? That's it. So the only way to do that is to be in a position of sovereignty as operating and governing themselves as a nation of people, etc. If you're not operating in that manner, then you do have someone above you. And now you have become subjected to man when you was only supposed to be subjected to God. That's it. It's the only way it's supposed to be. Why? Because nature's first laws say self-preservation. So we have to get back into the Republic form. Whatever that may look like for anybody, for any group of people, or whatever the case may be, like, we just got to know that. And that's cool. Once we establish establish order, law and order and justice, etc., we establish what trade is, then yeah, now we can sit down, we can have a good time, we can enjoy each other's culture of food and all of this type of stuff. We know who people are. We're not demeaning anybody. We're not low class citizen anybody. We're making sure our people are wealthy and health and well kept according to their culture and nature of people, man. And that's how it's supposed to be. Because what the freak you look like taking a damn lion out to go live with some hippos? The lion gonna drown in the water with all them big old hippos in there. And as soon as he come in, they gonna eat him anyway. But my point is, you can't do that. It ain't gonna turn out right. Now, do they live in the jungle in a harmony way? Absolutely. But we're not of the beast, though. So that's what's supposed to separate us from the beast, is because we have the divine consciousness of our creator, God. So since we have that, we're not supposed to be on the plane of the beast. That's what separates us, is because we are able to establish that law and order to make sure that we are operating in harmony and divineness as we're supposed to on this plane. But y'all gotta stop. Y'all gotta stop hiding from that. Y'all gotta. I was saying to my mother the other day, I was like, I think even my wife, I was telling her, like, people forget what family is for. They're doing a family tree right now. And when two families come together, yo, they supposed to become wealthier. It's supposed to create a bigger network. Every time families join together, you're supposed to create have a bigger networking of a family. You're supposed to have more. It's supposed to be more abundant. It's supposed to be more fruitful. It's supposed to bring in, more wealth in every aspect to you. Those families supposed to work together and find ways to build together for their posterity. Like I think people forgot that. Like we look at people who are y'all call these people royalty, but these people just these are a long line of bloodline of people who have kept up with their ways of law, etc., through their inheritance and stuff like that. You can do the same thing. You set up everything the way you're supposed to. Next thing you know, you and your family is y'all got royalty. This is who's running. That's y'all flag. Y'all got y'all everything. Nobody can stop you from doing that. Seriously, I hope y'all know that. Only thing stopping you is you. That's it. And it's not saying, man, I'm not saying, here's the thing: I'm not promoting overthrowing anybody. Just be you. You don't got to go try to take down some other government or anything like that. No, that's not the concept of what you want to do. But it's to be in alignment with the law. No matter what side you're gonna do, what you want to get into, just make sure you aware of it. Because me personally, I understand my position. I know who I am, right? I know exactly who I am. And I know why I'm able to establish these right here. Well, what you see back here, like these are our passports, as far as MNRP, and we are a actual. Um, we are also a actual Moroccan government as well. So it's just for you to know what you're doing. Because, but I also know my rights as to having permanent allegiance to the soil on the Republic land of Alabama. See, I know that too. So either way, I want to be able to fully operate. I can represent my nationality and self and treaties and things like that through my inheritance, but also my right of soil. Can never take that away from me either. So I understand at this particular point, especially since the vastness of what you call the United States, that even then, we still got rights that we get to fully operate. And no matter what, due process of law, all immunities and privileges are given to all people, all no matter whether they're foreign or domestic, here on the American soil. So now it just means one thing: do you know the law? Yeah, do you know the law? That's all it means now. That's the only square ground that we're at. Do you know the law? We could talk about commerce. Commerce is great. I mean, I understand that a lot when it comes to moving in commerce with certain things and operating with your vessels and stuff like that. But truth is, everything still falls back on knowing your rights and interests. So, you know, I'm just telling y'all what it means to operate and how to operate and what we're in and how we're supposed to be in this particular realm of life, because now we're allowing so much stuff to continue to happen. Like like I say, we should be the courtroom should be our soap operas. For real. Man, if we ain't got no work, we ain't got nothing to do, we should be at the courtroom with the Constitution, with the laws in our hand, and just follow and to get the courtroom procedures, and we just see if they follow the courtroom procedures. All cases are public. All we gotta do is pull the information. We can say, "Hey, we see such and such not being followed correctly, etc." Now it takes the people as a whole. We can do a petition for a quo warranto for the people who are holding these seats, and what give them delegation of authorities to operate in the manner that they are operating. They in trouble. They in trouble. Think about that. They in trouble. because they're not gonna be able to prove it. But see, it's not a it's still gonna take us as a whole to care. We can't just start caring when you think we electing the president, and you don't even elect the president. You have a popularity vote. That's the reason why you gotta understand the electoral vote. Y'all be like, oh, y'all voted him in. If you voted for Trump, you voted him in. You didn't vote. Just because you voted for him don't mean you voted him in. It don't work that way, right? So what you have control of is the republic state itself. So that means you put the governor in office, you can take the governor out of office. All right. You put the Secretary of State of your state in office, you put the Attorney General, you put all of these people in office that you vote for. You put your judges, you put the county sheriff, you put all of these people are elected by people. That's where you have the power at. The federal government itself is all electoral votes of the state. Because you got to remember the states. The states is what created the union. The people, but the first union is the people which established the state. So now once you get that concept, now you see different jurisdictions of where you belong. So how is it that you're going to let them call you a U.S. citizen? Because a U.S. citizen falls in as a federal. So now they're saying that you're not the people who created the state and then the state created the union. They're saying that you are the citizen that was created by the federal government and that was given granted privileges of the people in the states. Drop some ones if you understand what I'm saying right now. And if I need to say it again, I will. But just drop some ones. I just want to see if y'all understood what I said. I need to know you get that. Let me know that you get it. I got to see some ones. Because if you don't get it, then that's the problem. All right? Got to make sure you get what we saying. And it's very important. Okay? Because the people, okay, the people in themselves did a social compact, created the state. Then the state created the union. Okay, so when we say state, soon as you said state, now that means we talking about legal fiction entities. Okay? That's the reason why the state can't be sued. The state cannot be a defendant of itself in its own courts. That's the reason why you have to take it to another legal fiction, which is the federal court. So if you're suing the state, you have to sue the state from the federal court. Otherwise, you're going to use the federal law to also sue people who are operating in the state, right? And they lose immunities. So now, all the people powers are within the state, no matter what. Now, the federal government job is to make sure that the people was protected as well from the states, because they wanted to make sure that if the people of Alabama was to travel over to Florida, that they would be treated the same exact way as the people of Florida. And they have all rights and immunities to the Constitution and the due process of law, right? They wanted to make sure that if they gave their people in Alabama identification, that they could also use those identification in Florida. The same way the people of Florida use their Florida identifications in Florida. That's called privileges and immunities. Okay? That's how it works. So they wanted to make sure that that would work. Okay, so that's the only thing the federal government is supposed to be doing. But the federal government said, man, they created this 14th Amendment citizen. Now, they try to make they seem like they created this 14th Amendment citizen because of the African-American, Negro, Black. No. Let me state for the record, they did not give a damn about you. You just so happen to be included in the midst. Okay? So, and let me help you understand that. What they did was, you got to remember they had people travel from French, from the Dutch. You had people travel from everywhere, right? They came here on boats, boat loads. I'm talking about coming to the American dream. The Italians, etc. They all came here. The Germans, okay? They all came here. Russians, all of them. They came in flocks, but everywhere. So when they came, you got to realize they didn't have the same nationality because they were considered the United States of America. So their nationality was going to be that of what they call the United States, a U.S. citizen, or that itself, because they couldn't be considered one of the people that was born on the Republic soil. All right. Well, the slaves was born on the Republic soil and anyway, so it wasn't nothing they could take away from them. Because if you freed the slave, then you couldn't enslave them. So now you had to accept them as nationals, etc., because they were born on the soil. They didn't really want to do it that way, but that's just what it was. And also, those so-called African Americans were literally in the tribes, but those people chose not to stay on the reservation. So therefore, they had to create a form of citizenship for them to be able to come out, et cetera, to be a part of this government. That's exactly what happened. So what you have is now they naturalized them. And when they naturalized them, they said, okay, you're going to be a 14th Amendment citizen. And now we're going to take your children, and we're going to also now when your children is born here, now they have the same rights of citizenship as you, right? And now we're going to give them the right of soil because they were born on this land. So now they also will now fully be a national of the particular state now. That's how they did it. All right. So now that you know your position and where you at when it comes to. So now you got two different forms of class of citizenship going on here. Right? You got the federal citizen and then you got the people within the state. Which one are you? And like I said, if you ain't come from a foreign country, then, or if you're not Puerto Rico or Guam, etc., then you can't be a federal citizen. Only those which are under the territory of the United States is a federal citizen and considered to be non-citizen nationals, meaning they're non-citizens of the states. But they're nationals of the United States. That's what that means. All right. They were not going to be considered to be part of that because they're not even considered to be a state. And so that's the reason why they got protection, et cetera. And they have to pay taxes to the United States government. Now, they also created what they call the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia was able to create its citizen, also known as the federal citizen. So this U.S. citizen was literally considered to be spread abroad within the states. All right. And when it was spread abroad in the states, it was going to reside in the states. Okay. It resides in the states. Now, the only way it could reside in the states, it had to reside in the districts of the states. I want y'all to pay attention. Please listen to what I'm saying. It had to reside in the district of the states. So now everybody think of your district that you are in right now. Well, you're not even in the district, so let me change that. The federal citizen is in the district. You're not. We're in the county. Okay, we're in the county of the state. That's different. Now we're talking soil. We're talking land. But when you start saying you're in the district, we're talking about the federal territory. So that's why you can go sue in a federal district in the nearest district court because something happened within that district. But that's also why you got a district judge, you got a district this. That's the reason why the lower courts in these particular states are district courts, and they operate fully on legislations. They do not operate on any of the constitutional law, which is the reason why they are considered to be also municipalities. You also got cities. Cities are within the county, okay? And since cities are within the county, all right, and then the county is within the state, they ought to let you know the jurisdiction. So when you come to the cities, then you're dealing with a lower jurisdiction, that of the county. itself, right? You're dealing with a municipal. You got to know this part. It matters. Not knowing it is what hurt us. Not knowing it is what hurt us. See, it says that the right to bear arms, that every citizen has a right to bear arms in defense of himself and the state. So that means that if a person stands to defend the Constitution, he got the right to bear arms. If a person stands in the right of defense of himself, he got the right to bear arms. So you have the right to bear arm in defense. So it means that whenever there's a charge on a gun charge or whatever they try to say, well, you are the right to bear arms in defense. They have to prove that you were going to make war and go and cause harm. So you should not receive a gun charge. But that goes back to letting you know that they're using these legislative statutory laws and they're removing you from the Constitution because they're treating you like a federal citizen. A federal citizen don't have the right. Federal citizen has a privilege. That's the reason it had to have a license to carry. It's got to have a license to do any and everything that it has to do, and it's taxed. Simple. See, the thing of the state job was to tax only the corporations. The people job was never to be taxed. If the people was to create a corporation and to make profit, they were to be taxed, and that was the taxes that was supposed to pay for any and all things of dealing with the state, etc. If there was a corporation that was going to be established in a city, then they also had to pay a city tax, a county tax, and a state tax. Yes. What it has to. That's the only way it was supposed to be. It wasn't meant for the people. The people are not supposed to be paying the city tax if you ain't out here doing business. The people are not supposed to be paying the county tax if you ain't out here doing business. The people is not even supposed to be paying a state tax nor a federal tax. You're not supposed to. It was only meant for corporations that are out here to profit. Taxation had nothing to do with you as the people. That's a fact. It was never meant for you to pay. So all those taxes you pay, you walk in the store, you paying a tobacco tax. For what? You ain't selling it. But you pay the tobacco tax. You walk in there and you had to pay taxes on your drink and all that, potato chips and whatever. You're not in the retail or resale or anything like that. So why are you paying a tax if you're not finna prop? It's stupid. So it makes us look like we the people don't know the law. It makes us as we the people. And now it like somebody hear me talking like, oh, he sounds crazy. No, I don't. I'm very intelligent enough to know what I read is to understand that number one, as the people, and if I was the people today, I would not submit myself to a government that is going to tax my whole livelihood. That is stupid. That ain't beneficial. No, that's not beneficial at all. That means that the people will suffer and become poor. If the government gets to tax every aspect, if they get to tax the dollar you make and tax you on everything, you're going to be poor. Because that's poor habits. Who would create that type of environment for themselves? I mean, really. Who would create that environment for themselves? I want to know. Because I can't see how and why we would do that. Why would we put ourselves in a position like that? And we printing money too? Bruh, come on. We printing money. Why would I do that and we printing money? That's the reason why God said let there be just weights and only deal with precious metals, because it ain't no just weights in inflation. So that means that the system they created with money is false anyway. It's flawed. It's too flawed. Ain't no way around it. It's a flawed system. So it says the 16th Amendment says the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes. See, the word that has to be described is incomes from whatever source derived. So they're saying from whatever source derived, without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumerations. Okay? So if the Congress should have power to lay and collect taxes on incomes, and this literally was meant from collecting taxes from the state and any corporations and people that's et cetera, but it had nothing to do with the people. So if they got this power, what is income? Income needs to be an income, for what I know, is a gain or profit. You thought taxes is only if you accepting benefits and privileges? No, that's not really necessarily true, because you can accept benefits and privileges and never lose your right in form of taxation. But income is capital gain. Income from whatever source derived. So now we got to describe income. We got to describe income. We got to define that. The return in money from one's business, labor, or capital invested, gains, profit, or private revenue. All right, it says income means that which comes in or is received from any business or investment of capital without reference to the outgoing expenditures, while profits generally means a gain which is made up on any business or investment when both receipts and payments are taken into account. Income, when applied to affairs of individual, expresses the same idea that revenue does when applied to the affairs of the state or nation. People versus Niagara County. Now you got to also understand, when they say individuals, they mean sole proprietors. So that means those who are acting under self-employment as sole proprietors, meaning that you're out here selling your labor for a gain or profit. So are you selling your labor for a gain or profit? So I want to know, are you selling your labor for a gain or profit? Are you selling your labor as a self-employed or operating as sole proprietor for gain or profit? Because that is what the presumption is. So that's what the presumption is. Are you? Benefits and privileges is not a right. Agreed. It's not. I said that you can receive benefits and privileges and not have to lose a right. You don't have to waive it. Non-redeemable colorable debt. So, but that's what income is. So, why is it being taxed? Because, and I understand why it says labor, because you can sell your labor for gain. You know what I mean? No fair exchange. No, I am not for hire. Well, here's the thing though. Even what is considered a gain of profit in labor? Anything exceeding like commissions, stuff like that, that would be a gain of profit. If you were given a certain amount and then they said if you sold this amount, then you got more than what you like, that could be considered. Not for resale. Oh. So I'm just saying, when we see what profits and all this means, income and gaining income, and here we are paying, taxes on something that you ain't supposed to be paying because you don't have the true understanding of it. Yeah, we want to get the true understanding of all of it. Bonus, yeah, a bonus, that's a profit. I agree. Income, entrance, arrival, coming in, perhaps, meaning money made through business or labor. In other words, that which come in as a payment for work or business. First recorded. Uh, okay. So they act like so again, work, labor, all of these simple things because they're gonna see you doing labor, as I keep saying, as a sole proprietor. So that is a form of income. But again, like I said, income has to be fully described. But you got to know that the only reason the 16th Amendment came in was because of the 14th Amendment. See, like, go back and pay attention to, all right, the 14th. The 14th Amendment says all persons born or naturalized in the United States. Remember, I told you all those people came here to live the American dream. They had to make sure they was naturalized, and those who are born and said and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws. All right. So now we know that. Then when you read section 4, it says the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for any payment of pensions and bounties for the services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion shall not be questioned, but neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States or any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. So that means that the slaves is free. Could nobody make no money off anybody. All right. That's the reason where the whole point of because the 13th Amendment happened, they abolished slavery. Then they came in here and said nobody owes a debt for slavery. Right? So neither slavery nor involuntary servitude. They took that away from the states. Then they came in and created this citizen. Then the 15th Amendment, they gave the rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state or on account of race, color, or previous conditions of servitude. So now they have the right to vote in the states, right? All right, now the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Then you got the 16th Amendment. So now they gave these 14th Amendment citizen privileges, etc., allowed them to vote, all of this. Then they turned around and said, hey, Congress is going to tax these citizens, okay, on their income and all sources derived. So the truth is that didn't that the 16th Amendment is not even for the people in the states. It's really for the federal citizens. So the 17th Amendment, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of two senators from each state, elected by the people thereof for 6 years, and the senator shall have one vote, and the electors in each state shall have qualification requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislatures. So right then and there, guys, they just told you that they're going to be electors in the voting. All right. So when vacancy happens in the representation of any state in the Senate, the executive authority of the state, such state shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. etc. Right? So they got the Senate right. Uh, After 1 year from ratification, this manufacturers still transportation of liquor. 18th Amendment. Then the 19th Amendment, women got the right to vote. 20th. About the president and stuff like that. Time. So just to give you guys a full, like as you can see, um, how it all went down throughout history and law goes together, and how that extra citizen came in, that 14th Amendment citizen, a citizen of the United States, how they slid through the back door. And now y'all out here saying, I'm a citizen of the United States. I'm a taxpaying citizen. And it's like, why? The federal government cannot create you. That's the thing. The federal government cannot create you. God created you. People created the state. The state created the federal union. Then the federal government created the citizen of the United States. Number one, to gain the people who came here to enjoy the American dream, and then the also to emancipate of the slave, etc. Right? Because they had right of soil here anyway. So you weren't gonna be able to take that away from them once you implemented that. So they had a choice: either get on the tribes, which the tribes you were with, or you got to come over here and be called the Negro. Mm-hmm. Yep. That is it. But a lot of people need to start understanding that, because it's a dual form of citizenship. Like, the United States citizens are subject to the federal jurisdiction, taxation, statutory law. So this form of citizenship is where passport, federal IDs, and government agencies all that recognize, right? But it said national of the state, so it refers being a state national or having allegiance to a particular state in 8 USC 1101 A21. And it defines a national as a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. Then 8 USC subsection 1101A22 clarifies a U.S. national is either a U.S. citizen, or a person who, though not a citizen, owes permanent allegiance to the United States. See, I want y'all to pay attention. The first one says owe permanent allegiance to a state. That's a national. A U.S. national is one who owes permanent allegiance to the United States, not to the states, but to the United States, such as someone from American Samoa, right? And it said this is applied at the state level. Being a national of the state means your political allegiance is first and foremost to your state under its constitution. Okay? That's first, right? That's first. Then it says you may recognize the union as a compact of states, but you stand as one of the people of your state, not primarily as a federal subject. So you one of the people first. Okay? I'll answer Yusuf L. I'm going to answer your question. Citizen of the United States, created under the 14th Amendment, primarily tied to federal jurisdiction. National of the state is rooted in the original constitutional structure, where states were sovereign and the people were state nationals first, united in the compact. So you are a state national, emphasizing standing under Constitution and not under federal statutory U.S. status. This means that this can affect tax obligations, the court jurisdiction, and, far as identity. So anytime that you go in there and y'all want to state who you are, it's just to say that I'm a state national of the state of whatever, one of the people of the United States of America. And then you can say, not a 14th Amendment citizen, my allegiance to my state and my allegiance is to my state and its constitutions. And that's the truth. We have allegiance to our states. The states have allegiance to one another. Okay? We don't, do y'all understand that part? Y'all got to understand this part of what I'm trying to display to you. All right? Because we the people did not make the like we didn't make an allegiance to the states. We only made an allegiance to the actual state through social compact. So the states came together and made an allegiance together to protect their national people. So really, when you look at the federal constitution is literally a treaty between 50 states. Drop some ones if you understand that. Yeah, it's really a treaty to all 50 states. See, that compact is not the people. That's the states compact union. The people union is rely within the state. Right? So that's why you got to know that. Now we operating fully off of the constitutional law of the state. If you in your state, whatever state you in, you use that constitution. Okay? If you in another state different from the state of where you domicile or have become a citizen of that particular state, then now that's when you use the U.S. Constitution because it becomes diverse citizenship. So that's why the federal government only have jurisdiction when it's between a matter between two states, two citizens or nationals of a state, and when it any federal question that deals with the federal law or federal constitution. Other than that, they don't have jurisdiction ever. That's the reason why it's easily to apply these things within the state than to try to take it to a certain federal courts for things because you're going to get your remedy by using that particular constitution itself. But you got to know who you are. You got to know who you are. Absolutely. Got to know who you are. Can I say when to use federal constitution? When it's between two states. So if two states are having a problem, then they're going to use the federal constitution. If a citizen of one state, okay, is having to sue another citizen from another state, then they're going to go sue in the federal court because it's diverse citizenship. That's when you have that as well. All right. And if a citizen or national of a state is having to sue the state government, then you have to do it in the federal constitution because that means that particular state broke the federal constitution. And that means somebody under 18 USC 242 also use color of law to deprive you of your rights. And that's when you also sue them as well in the federal court. So I hope that makes sense to you guys on that part. But it's a real thing, though. We just got to start opening our eyes up and start seeing what is what. Because I can give it to you from both perspectives. Because, one, I am the Grand Wazir, the chief of our tribal empire as well. And like I say, we do have our own sovereign jurisdiction as well. And, y'all like, well, how is it that you sovereign? Easy. Because me and my people we have our own courts. So that means that if any disputes that happen between our people, they don't go to the courts of the United States. They come to our courts. We settle our own matters. We deal with our own people. We deal with our own disputes, and then we hold ourselves accountable. And the only thing we'd love to do from there is just to build. We come out, we build businesses, continue to own land, establish jurisdiction over those lands, and it's just a continuation over years. That's it, just to perpetuate. But sovereignty is literally just you being able to govern your people and having order and law for them. But those people have to be able to submit to that law. You can't go and establish law, create law, establish constitution for your people to follow, and then they turn around and go somewhere else to any disputes. See, that's the difference. Y'all thinking and looking at sovereignty as if you got to have the whole military and the police forces and all of that type of stuff. That's not what that is, bro. That's what can come with it if you continue to build and establish. Then yeah, but sovereignty is just literally you and your own people, right? There, sovereignty is the same thing you got at home. Do you and your people obey the laws that you have set, the rules that you have set in your own household, and y'all obey them? And if something happens, that any disputes, y'all have a court or whatever and accept the rulings of how it is based upon the family codes and laws that's been laid down. Again, that is the only thing to separate man from the beast. Is the fact that we can establish law and follow order and receive justice in a very civil way. Do you use FRNs or credit US dollars? I use both, and I buy assets. And I take those assets and I place them into trust. Assets that don't depreciate. It's the only thing you can do with those things. It's just exchange them for things, other things of value and services. That's it. Nothing else to do with them. But to answer your question, Brother Yusuf L, you said that what's the remedy if you have a criminal record? How can you bear arms? Easy, because you're bearing arm in defense. They can never take that right away from you. Medium of exchange. That's exactly what they are. Yeah, that's it, bro. They have to prove. See, you got to understand what they have to prove. In order for you to get that type of charge, they have to prove that you're going to cause harm. Just because they saw you with some form of weapon that is your right to bear arm for defense does not mean that they can take you to jail. It's not what that means. You literally have the right to bear arms. So now you have to go in court, and your challenge is, okay, I want them to prove on the record where I was going to cause willful intent. I was going to cause harm. They have to prove willful intent to go and cause harm, because remember, in order for it to be the right to bear arms, you bear it in defense. So they have to prove the opposite. Bear arms are right, firearms are benefit and privilege. Totally agree, because one is a statutory law made. But again, if you considered it to be your arms, they have to prove that you were not having it in defense. And they can't. They will have to have somebody saying that you threatened that you're going to kill them. They got to have some type of text messages or something that they're going to use against you and all of that type of stuff. Like, I even think that it's crazy that they allow rappers' music to be used against them. Like, that's stupid. Even though they do stupid stuff by saying stupid stuff, but entertainment can still be considered entertainment. Just don't use the word firearm, right? Agreed. Agreed. But they still have to prove, again, willful intent. Willful intent, they have to, and that's the thing about crime. They have to prove willful intent to do something. And really, for real, that's the reason why if everybody shut up and never say anything, they can never prove willful intent. Never. That's how their biker gang, it was like 100 or some of them or whatever, and they all went to, um, they were all took into custody and they all were let go and nothing happened. Nobody was charged because everybody shut up. What's them lawyers, them two lawyers be saying on it? It's like, hey, no matter what, shut the fuck up. That's real talk. Shut up. Yeah, because the only thing I be saying to him is like anything that you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law and equity. You know, that's it. Court of equity, court of law and equity, and that's what I say because I just let them know whatever you say and do is gonna be used against you. Whatever you say or do, but we got to start getting back. And all right, so BMX turf. I'm glad you're saying what you're saying because even saying stuff like I have to correct people because they like, oh, I have the right to travel on the public highway and stuff like that. Highway is a state legislative term. We only travel on the land. The land is the only thing that people see. I don't care what they, I don't care what material they do alchemy with and lay it on the land and then try to call it a road. It's still land. You use resources of the land to make what you made in the first place. No matter what, it's land. That's all we ever see. And that which is connected to the land belongs to the land and the sole proprietor of the land. The sole proprietor of the land is the people. No matter what. Now, it also says that all rights are pretty much retained by the people. So it's our right to assert. We did not give the government the right to do, what do you say, to assert our right. We didn't tell them, we didn't put in the Constitution that, hey, the judge has to assert our right. But how can they ever assert your right if you don't ever tell them in the first place? So that's the reason why you have to assert your own full right yourself. If someone causes harm to you, it is your right to make sure that you assert their right so that you can receive a civil remedy. Otherwise, people will be a constant war. There will be a constant war and constant death going on a daily basis. But we as people, as what we say people here, as people of God and children of God, we are supposed to have a moral compass and a civil state of mind and be able to handle these things literally through court, accept the law, accept the judgment, and be able to move forward. That's what we're supposed to be able to do. Exactly what we're supposed to be able to do. But is something that's going to be easy? No. Is it something that's going to be hard fought and things that we got to literally put our time into and stuff like that? Yes, it is. It's just going to take us as the people to do so. Okay? Take us as the people to do so. Absolutely. Use the proper word. And see, that's the reason why I say, like, use the words that's actually being said in the Constitution. Just use the words. If you use the words that's being said in the Constitution, then it's not the same exact words that's being used in the statutory law. And you're going to be like, oh, okay, I get it. I know what they're trying to say now. Because first it started talking about the people, right? And then it started talking about, then it starts talking about persons, people and persons, two different things. People is people. There is no corporate status to people, but persons can be individuals. Individuals are sole proprietors. You got trusts that can be persons. You got LLCs that are persons. You got S corporations that are persons. You got estates. You got foundations. You got churches that are considered to be persons. You got municipals, cities that are persons. McDonald's a person. McDonald's has the right to own property. McDonald's has the right to sue and be sued. Yeah, McDonald's has that same right. The only thing McDonald's can't do is go vote. But McDonald's has the right to put its money into some campaign, though. It do have the right to do that. That's all I'm saying. God has no love for persons. Agreed. Yeah. So I get it, man. I get it. I've been doing this for a long time now. Still gonna keep doing it, keep pushing. As we know, this is our purpose here, and it's just to wake everybody back up to the reality of themselves and being able to go back into the fold of governing thyself in fullness thereof, as God has set all nations a law, all nations a land, all nations a culture, all nations everything that you entirely need as people, etc. No man is supposed to be subject to any man. There should only be nobody but God before us. And that means only thing should stand between man is this constitution of authority and God. That's it. Nothing else should be placed above him. Ever. Ever. Everybody need to know that. Mickey D's been slinging property and selling toxic food. They're gonna continue to. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate y'all tonight, man. We've been here an hour and 45 minutes. Seems like all the equipment is up, working good. Make sure that you guys follow us on all the social media platforms: TikTok, Turban Swag, Facebook, Eric Ingram Bay. I have a blue check beside my name, so you can check me there. Also, In God We Trust Academy on Facebook, as well as YouTube. You can follow us there, In God We Trust Academy. So check out our channel there as well. Every Mondays and Wednesdays, Mondays 11 a.m. Central Time, we'll be here. Free classes going on. Wednesday 6 p.m. Central Time, free classes going on, work sessions, and we'll also be doing this as well too. So I appreciate everybody that shared, gave gifts tonight, man. Make sure y'all like and share and subscribe. We do this a lot. I share a lot of information with you guys all the time. If this is your first time with us, man, hope to see you guys back again. And just appreciative of everything, guys. Man, keep God first. Don't give up. Time plus consistency equals growth. So whatever you're doing, just stay consistent at it. Keep growing. Put your time and energy into things that is going to give back and reciprocate back into you. We have to do that. We have to be mindful of our time and things like that as well. All right. So appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great and beautiful night.